Good morning. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna Harvey. I am a consultant and team leader based in East Auckland. And two of the things that I'm really passionate about around my Thermomix business is helping busy mums and especially helping cater for particularly dairy-free diets. I do dabble in a little bit of other allergy-friendly, but I myself am allergic to dairy, so I take pretty much every recipe and switch it up. So I said to Si when we decided on these beautiful hot cross buns scroll recipe, I'm gonna make my dough dairy free. He was like, "Ooh, okay, cool." So let's jump into it. So I'm actually filming from our office in Mount Wellington, which is super exciting. And we do have some classes and in person and some events in person that you can come along to. So Si has sent me this recipe already, so I've already added it into my daily plan. And let's get going. All right, so first tip. So this one is, it asks for some milk. So I just literally do a switch out directly for milk. I am using almond milk today. I usually do make it myself, but I had run out and I quickly grabbed some on my way here. You can also use oat milk or soy milk. Coconut milk tends to be a lot thinner, so it doesn't give you the same consistency and build to normal milk. So you do kind of need to stick with a slightly, what is the word I'm looking for? A slightly higher, I guess it's fibrous, I don't know, whatever it is, but almond, soy, and oat are your go-tos. So 300 grams of milk, butter. So I've got two recommendations. This one is one I've recently found in the supermarket. I'm literally just switching the butter like for like. You can also, I do find that in recipes, especially for baking, you need like a butter. You can't just switch for extra virgin olive oil, or olive oil, which is my other go-to. But this other one, the other brand that I really like is the Nuttelex Buttery. Things like Olivani and things are okay, but they've got quite a distinctive olive oil taste to them, which can end up distorting your baking. These ones are quite nice and plain, so you don't get that same idea, that same concept. Right, then we're going in with some 50 grams of sugar. And next, all right, and that is just going to jump into heat for 2 minutes for 40 degrees, not 40 grams, speed 2. So that's just ticking away. If you have someone or know someone who is egg free or allergic to eggs for whatever reason, or vegan, you can switch out the egg. And I reckon the best egg substitute for this particular recipe would be applesauce. So 1 tablespoon of applesauce is the equivalent to 1 egg. And the cool thing about that is you can essentially make these, enriched doughs are not normally vegan because they have butter and egg in them. So it's quite nice, and milk. So often it's quite nice to be able to just say, hey, I've made this one completely vegan or dairy-free or egg-free. So I've just chucked in 2 tablespoons, teaspoons, 2 teaspoons of yeast. And we're gonna mix that back in. So yeah, you can switch out your egg really easily. You can switch out your milks. Milk and butter are quite an easy substitute because they are really like for like. It is when you come to your eggs that it can become a little bit more dependent. Also, now this is going to stand for 5 minutes until it's lightly frothy. I'm going to show you there. It is already starting to kind of froth a little bit, which is super cool. If you are interested in seeing a bit more how I use mine as a busy mum, or how I adapt recipes to be dairy free, my business page is Creating Magic with Hermione. We're going to skip ahead, and we are, it's not, because it's frothing out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it because of how warm it is, and we're going to keep going. So I'm now going to add in some flour. So when making breads, you always pretty much want to use a high grade flour. For a bread dough, like an enriched bread dough where I've made those before, I'm quite confident switching that for the dairy free straight away. Other times I might make it non-dairy free first, just so I've had a practice doing it. Bonus for me is that my family are not allergic to dairy spice. So I give you that really cool tip at this point with the cinnamon to add in some ground cardamom. I am not going to do that purely because, you know, kids. However, so yeah, often for a different take of for dairy free, sometimes I'll make it normally first, other times I'll go straight into it as dairy free. Adding that lovely egg. There's actually quite a few things that are dairy free naturally, which is quite cool. If you want to really, what am I doing here? Oh, it didn't do that step. Just go back. I forgot to, I pushed next instead, ticked it off. Push play. Then it's going to knead it in a minute. So it's a 3-minute knead on this one. So 2 minutes in the Thermix is the equivalent of 10 minutes by hand. So as someone who doesn't have the time to stand and do 15 minutes of kneading a dough, this is quite helpful. So this is almost done, and I'm going to then transfer it out onto my baking mat, and I'm just going to roll it up and I'm going to leave it once it is nice and proofed. So I'm going to leave that probably for an hour. I'm going to then do the steps that Sai's going to show you that he's going to tag back in.
Kia ora guys. Hey, sorry. My name's Simon. I'm a Thermix consultant based out in West Auckland. My part of what I'm going to show you today is actually making the scroll. So what's happened is that I've already gone through the part of the recipe that Anna was going to demo to you, and that is making the dough. And my dough has actually been proving for about an hour and 10 minutes. Now this is an enriched dough, so it's got an egg in it, it's got some butter. And this is what my dough currently looks like. It is very light and it smells really good. What I've done with this, I've added extra spice. So I have added, as well as the traditional mixed spice and cinnamon, I've also added half a teaspoon of cardamom and half a teaspoon of cloves, just to give it a bit more spice. So now I'm going to carry on with my recipe. So if you don't know how to add a creative recipe to your Kokadu collection, reach out to your consultant. Would love to help you. And if you do want a copy of this recipe, yeah, more than happy to share it with you guys. I haven't made this before, so this is my very first time. So, but it smells amazing. So after my dough has proved, I'm now going to make the butter layer that goes over the dough. So it's asking me for 60 grams of softened butter, and there goes. I was actually really looking forward to Anna joining me because Anna is actually dairy free, and I was quite perplexed as to how she's going to make this recipe dairy free. So as well as our 60 grams of as well as our 60 grams of softened butter, I'm going to add in 80 grams of brown sugar. So a little bit more. I'm trying to be as accurate as possible so that when I do a recipe for the first time, I like to play by the rules. And once I've tiddled with it a little bit, then I'll add flavors, cut things down, all that kind of stuff. So into this, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, if you guys follow me, you know, go to your Indian supermarkets. So much cheaper to get your spices. Yeah, I mean, this whole jar of ground cinnamon cost me $3.99. You're never going to get that in a supermarket. So we've got 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And I'm also going to throw in the zest of one orange. So all I've done with this, I've just finely chopped it so it's nice small pieces, and then that's going to go as well. I did choose a large orange simply because I really like that sort of citrusy flavour in the hot cross buns. And we're now going to mix this up for 15 seconds at speed number 4. Got my handy dandy dough mat. Let's have a look, see what we got. Yum, that is smelling so good, guys. Now what I'm going to do, because it is going to be spread on my dough, I'm actually just going to heat this up to 37 degrees just while I'm rolling my dough out. It's just going to make it a little bit more spreadable. So 37 degrees, and we're just going to go to a speed 1, go. So this is my dough ready to roll. Okay, all good, Anna, gotcha. So this dough, because it's an enriched dough, it's got some egg and lots of fat in it. It pays to let it give it a little bit extra time when it comes to giving it time to proof. So sometimes, depending upon the state of your yeast as well, you can find that the dough does take a little bit longer. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on top. So the instructions are going to ask me to roll this out to a 30 by 40 centimetre. Now, okay, so my mixture is now going to be a little bit more fluid. Yep, that's a lot more spreadable. Oh, I tell you what, guys, that orange zest and the cinnamon is your predominant flavour. Now, a little tip for you guys. If you are spreading something on top of the dough and you tend to find that the whatever you're spreading is tearing or lifting the dough, what you can do is put on a little sprinkle of flour. So I'm just going to put on a little sprinkle of flour. You don't need much. Just like that. In case you're wondering where I got this recipe from, I actually popped into AI and asked it to create a recipe for me. So I tittered with the recipe a little bit. As I say, if you do want the recipe, just flick me a message. I'm more than happy to share it with you. Okay, so now we're going to grab our beautiful base. And hopefully now when it goes on, it's not going to tear my dough. Okay. There you go, guys. So this is my amazing smelling dough with that little butter layer on it. What I'm using for my fruit is some of my brandy soaked fruit, and what I have been doing for the last 45 minutes or so is just draining the liquid off it, because the recipe talks about making sure that the fruit is fully drained. So it's still a little bit moist, but that's okay. Now I have got more than the 150 grams that the recipe says. So it's just basically your typical Christmas cake mix. And again, what we're looking for is a nice even amount of fruit. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back into my recipe. In case you don't know how to do that on the TM7, you click the little line at the top called the Cooking Center, and then just touch your recipe, and it just drops you straight back to where you were. So now we're going to turn it into scrolls, rolling at the long edge. Now, this dough is actually really, really nice. Sometimes the dough sticks a bit and is a little bit tacky, but this dough is beautiful. So here we go. I'm just going to roll it up. Now you want to have a tight roll. Look, we all like firm buns, right? So I'm just going to grab my mat and just going to roll it along just like that, just making sure that we keep quite a bit of pressure on the dough. Oh wow, this smells so good. So straight down the middle, like that. Oh, it smells amazing. Into there. And then each of those we're going to turn into 3. And I'm just going to trim the end off the end scroll, because that's the little weird bit, right? So again, into half, and then that into thirds. And trim the end bit off the scroll. So these bits are, if you want to use them, you can. What I have got here, following the instructions, I have got a lined baking dish. Now, quick tip for you guys, same with scones. If you like a crunchy-sided scone or a crunchy-sided whatever you're making, use a baking tray that's shallow. If you want to keep it a bit more light and fluffy, use something with high sides. It means that the bread doesn't get the direct heat on it. That's a trick my mother taught me, by the way. Okay, let's have a look. Here we go. 1, 2, and it says to put them about 3 centimeters apart. Are you guys going to give this recipe a try? Would love to see your, love to get your opinion of it if you decide to do it. 1, 2, 3. Got a little bit of extra fruit in there. Oh, poke that in there, poke that one in there. So here are my hot cross scrolls. So what I'm going to do now is, following the recipe, is I'm going to cover this and I'm going to let this prove for another 30 to 40 minutes. And the idea being that while it's proving, the buns are going to grow into each other. So by the time it finishes proving, you'll have a tray full of tightly packed buns. Then we're going to preheat the oven to 180. And we're going to make the crosses. So the crosses are your typical flour and water put into a piping bag and cross over the second proved buns. And then they go in the oven and they bake for 20 to 25 minutes or until golden brown. Now, as soon as they come out of the oven, what you want to do is put a glaze on top. So pick your favorite jam. The recipe suggests apricot jam, but I mean, you can do whatever you like. Hot cross scrolls have got such different flavors in them, you could do anything at all. Any fruit pretty much would work with it, I think.